I don't want to start with this question that almost every interviewer asks you. Is that, how did you lose so much weight?
Thank God. It's the only thing I'm constantly asked कि आपने वजन कैसे घटाया? मैंने कहा बस एक दिन मैं उठी और suddenly I was a different person.
Exactly. So let me start with, taking you back to before you were, a film star. And you were an assistant casting director.
I was an assistant casting director. I was all of 17. My parents were ready to ship me off to England. And I was like, oh my God, if I go away, this means I'm not going to get to do what I love. Somebody told me that YRF, Yashraj Films, they're looking for an assistant casting director. I had no idea what that means. But I just had like some ambition in me, and I was like, you know what, let me just go do it. And my parents were appalled. They were like, what, you don't want to like, do your conventional route of educating yourself. You want to start earning money when you're this young. And I come from a family of IIM and IIT graduates. So it was a bit of a shocker for them. Like my sister is a lawyer and everyone is highly educated. So they kind of put this condition कि देखो graduation तो करनी पड़ेगी. So I did my open schooling, but yeah, I didn't have a choice, and I'm glad I did it because I think my education definitely enriched me a lot, and it's added a lot to me as a person and the actor that I am. But yeah, I started casting, and then I loved it, and I was so good at it. Yeah.
But tell me, not a lot of people know that you were, part of the whole casting process for several actors, including Ranveer Singh.
Yeah, in fact, Ranveer was probably the first time I was a part of a lead, a YRF lead being cast. And I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, oh my God, this guy has a lot of energy. Like, he was all over the place, excited. And he came and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, should I just reply back saying doing the same? Because I was so new. I was like, yeah, we will do it. Come on. It was fun.
So did you think he would make it?
100%. There's certain people that just have this X factor and you don't know what that is. And he just had it. Like the moment he enters a room, everyone's just like looking at him. You cannot miss Ranveer Singh. And I think that's a quality that most actors should have.
And now tell me about how you managed to jump ships from being behind the camera to being in front of the camera. How did that happen?
I honestly am living my dream. I always wanted to be an actor, and I kind of knew this is going to happen to me. I just wasn't sure how. Then the script came along, Dam Laga Ke Haisha, and they decided to audition me for it, and it worked out. But I went through like a grueling 3-month long process. It took me 3 months to convince my director because he thought I'm inherently very urban. I'm a Bombay girl. He's like, how's she gonna play this, girl from the 90s who's from Haridwar? The worlds are so different. So it was tough, but nothing comes easy, yeah. So I had to gain about 32 kgs for the film. And I had a ball because I was eating and I was getting paid to eat and I was getting to act, which are my 2 most favorite things. So it was probably the nicest, it was the best debut I could have asked for.
Okay, now that I've asked you all the easy questions, right? Let's dive into some business questions and talk about, something controversial.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So, while this whole cinema landscape has changed and we've got the big screen and we've got OTT and, it's just become this place with so much opportunity, talent and supply, I believe that there is this, OTT typecast and a big screen typecast. So if I'm a big screen actor, I really don't want to be on an OTT platform. And I also believe that, very recently, and I will name the film because I'm not part of the industry. When Drive came and there was a clause in the contract which was directly going to be released on OTT, ever since then, the industry and actors in particular are like ensuring that the OTT clause is not there.
See, I'll tell you what, every OTT platform is fantastic. The reason films are kind of pushing boundaries and people are experimenting, whether you have a film like Dam Laga Ke Haisha or an Andhadhun or what a lot of my colleagues are doing, we are experimenting with ourselves. And that is happening because your audience is used to seeing content which is bloody amazing. It is phenomenal work. And thank God you have all these different platforms where creativity can bloom. There's such a burst of new talent that has come in because of these platforms.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but there is a divide, and we cannot deny that. There isn't a divide left in the West anymore, right? Because you have like these top class directors that are directing, like, you know, you have Scorsese, you have everybody who's doing like a show for one of these OTT platforms. And you have actors, Chris Hemsworth is doing something, Scarlett Johansson's doing something. I mean, the lines over there are very blurred. Over here, there is a divide, and I think it has a lot to do with the content that is being created. You know, honestly, personally for me, when I did a Last Stories, I did know that it's going to be out on Netflix, and I was absolutely okay with it because I truly feel that a film like Last Stories would be a lot more appreciated on an OTT platform, as opposed to like the big screen where there'll be like layers of censorship and people just won't get it. So if I speak of myself per se, the day I find that one project that really challenges what I already am doing on the big screen, I will automatically make that shift. But our content generated from India needs to be better. We are already on our way there. We have Sacred Games, we have Delhi Crime, which I loved, you know. So things are getting better, but we are still very new in the game.
But tell me something, you're a successful big screen actor, and we haven't seen it yet. There is a big debate if they can straddle both. They can straddle the big screen and OTT equally well and get a bang for their buck.
I think so. Eventually, see, I'll tell you what, the kind of commitment you need, even day-wise, now that we are speaking business right now, if I am to do a show, okay, which requires me to shoot for 6 months, I can finish 4 films in 6 months. You know, and there is some great work happening where cinema, like where your big screen celluloid films are concerned. So I think that's the dilemma that an actor faces, that, okay, if I put in 6 or 8 months of my life into this project, is it worth it? And I truly feel, I mean, if I go on to doing a Netflix or whatever, any platform, it's only going to increase my fan base. And I saw that happen with Last Stories, because, you know, the film reached out to over 143 countries, which is amazing, and people still write to me about it. So I feel it's only a matter of few more years, maybe 2 or 3 years more, that we'll kind of see the crossover happening and, you know, people just working together and coexisting happily.
Wow. But would you say, what about the pay parity in terms of, I'm not talking about gender pay parity, I'm talking about parity, you know, in terms of work doing an OTT series or a movie versus the big screen. Where do you get paid better? Are we seeing that equalize?
See, again, it will only happen once your OTT, the business that's created becomes bigger. You know, it's all a business, right? If my brand value is of a certain amount, I'm going to be paid like that. And this is completely stepping away from the gender disparity, because that's a completely different conversation. And that can go on and on and on. I can talk about it for hours. But as a film actor, obviously it's a medium that's a lot more celebrated in India. So for obvious reasons, you know, there will be certain a parity. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, because the amount of hard work you put into any product is the same. But that's the reality of it. And I really feel, again, I keep coming back to the fact that it's only a matter of time. You know, things have started moving. People are doing better work. I know for a fact that directors, like, you know, if you have a big director who comes on to make a show, they are getting paid like really, really well.
No, that's not true. The budgets are very small on OTT.
No. One second. The budgets are very small, but then it is not like you're doing television. You know, it is only getting better. Again, it's all a business. You know, it's about the number of viewership that you have that decides the budget that you have. And maybe the budgets should go up. That's the only way we can actually be at par, because I know abroad the kind of production that they have is insane. There's no difference between a film and a web show. It's all the same, you know, but we are a little peachy. And even when our television is concerned,
Yeah, sure,
you
sure.
know.
Pretty regressive. But going forward, I mean, let me talk about your current list of films. And, you know, I mean, tell me, is it pure luck or is it your business acumen that everyone has been a money spinner?
Thank God for that. Like, thank God. But no, I think there's no formula when I choose a film. I don't even understand what the audience likes. I only know what I like and what I want to watch. I think since my first film, I've kind of always experimented with myself, and I've realized that people want to watch newer stories. And today a commercial film is a film that makes money. The whole age-old idea कि 4 गाने होने चाहिए, तभी लोगों तक पहुंचेगी, you need this, you need that, you don't need any frills attached in a film. You just need a good story, and you obviously need a certain connect. Now, connect does not always mean that you need to have like frou-frous attached. You know, like today, if a film like Bala, it has crossed 100 crores. The film is about a balding guy and a girl who's deep colored. You know, there's a certain relatability in the film. There's humor, like, you know, all of us, if I think of all my peers as well, if I think of Ayushmann, Karthik, or any of the girls that are working today, I think one quality that we all have is that there's a relatability. Today, people don't want to see fantasy because they've seen enough of it. Nothing, you can't fantasize about anything because everything can become your reality today.
What are you saying, that actors today are much more real?
100%. You don't think they are a lot more real? I think they are a lot more real. The fact that I can be in front of the camera and celebrate my flaws, that says it all. Today, the idea of a hero has changed drastically. Yeah. A hero is somebody that you need to idolize, but he or she does not have to be perfect. Like, the beauty standards in India have been so unreal for so many years, and the fact that we all are breaking these standards, and you know, if you look at any of my films and you look at any of my stories, you'll feel like, अरे यार, ये तो मेरी neighbor की बेटी हो सकती है, ये मेरी दादी हो सकती है. Like, in the last 1 year, I have played a 20-year-old girl and I've played a 70-year-old woman. That says a lot about the fact that about how your image of a hero has changed, and all the films have done extremely well.
But don't you also think, with the advent of social media and the fact that, you know, every actor is so connected to his or her fans, the mystery and the mystique behind, you know, an actor is somewhat, you know, much lesser than, let's say, in the yesteryears. And do you think, and this is a tough question to answer because nobody really knows, does that impact the longevity of an actor?
I don't think so. I think एक लंबी रेस का घोड़ा जब आप बनना चाहते हो, if you need longevity, you just need to be true to your craft. You know, definitely times are changing, and there is, and obviously the whole mystery, the whole aura, the starness, the stardom to an actor, because, you know, earlier people really wanted to know a lot about their hero or whatever, their favorite hero or heroine. But today, I think social media is beautiful. It's that one way that I can connect with so many of my fans, and I want them to know who I am. Because in my films, and that gives me a chance to be somebody completely different in my films. Because I know that, okay, I'm a Bombay girl, my social media conveys that to people. My social media lets people know what my morals are, what I stand by, what my political views are, what I feel about the world, what I'm doing in my personal life. That gives me the freedom and the ease to experiment with myself on screen.
Fair enough. On that note, thank you so much. Please, can I have a large round of applause for Bhumi Pednekar. Thank you for being candid, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Radhika Apte, the OTT queen. Do you like that tag?
I mean, it's a good tag, but it makes me wonder sometimes. I've done over 40 feature films, and I just appeared in like 2 television shows on Netflix, and then I got this title. I've done far more films than series in my life. So, but still, I mean, I'm not a big fan of labels. But when they support you, they help you. I don't mind the plus side of it, you know.
Unfortunately, we live in a world of labels.
Yeah.
And, you know, in fact, there was a big hullabaloo around the fact that Netflix was in love with you and was only casting you. So you almost became the Netflix girl, right? So do you sometimes feel boxed?
That's not how it happened, actually. Because Sacred Games was the show that I was cast in, but Lust Stories was not a Netflix movie initially, and neither was Ghoul.
Sure.
So it just coincidentally happened that it sort of came together, and Netflix decided to make me their whatever. Is because I got trolled, and they were intelligent enough to use it to their advantage and not you know, criticize the trollers.
Can stars straddle both OTT and the big screen in a manner that is, you know, acceptable? Or do you think somewhere, you know, we're still slotting actors, unfortunately, into, you know, typecasting them as OTT actors, big screen actors. Do you think that's something that's happening and that bothers you?
I don't think that's happening, and if that's happening, who's to decide? I mean, it'll change the day people want to change. If somebody like Saif today decided to do Sacred Games, he's still doing feature films. It's just in your head. As actors, I think it's up to actors. I don't think it's about the audience at all. It's literally something that actors have to decide. It's actors just slotting themselves saying, oh, I'm not going to do OTT because I'm a film actor. Audience are happy if you give them good content either on OTT or feature films. And a lot of people watch a lot of films on OTT platforms. So I think it's this thing of image that we carry as actors, not we. Some people carry as actors and say, oh, I have to do this, I can't do that. It's in their heads. Audience will accept as long as you convince them with a better performance. So.
Right. Radhika, today people internationally know you. How much of that can you actually feel is palpable when you travel abroad? How much of our content is really traveling? We know that we're watching a lot more international content than we ever did, just because of the sheer accessibility and exposure.
Yeah.
How much, since you're in the field, you're doing so many international shows, you're traveling so much, how much of our content is traveling?
I mean, the thing is, Emmys, everybody was so happy we got nominated. It's such a big thing, I think. We had 3 nominations this year. But they also started the international Emmys only 3 years ago. And the reason why they've started international Emmys clearly is because of the OTT platforms. Television has changed. And everybody from all over the world is investing in these platforms and making really good content. So they need to acknowledge that, and then there needs to be a platform, a place where it can all come together and be rewarded. So I'm hoping that we will have many more nominations from now on, from next year and the year onwards. And because of this, I think suddenly the content's been viewed across the world. I mean, when I remember Love Stories came out, because I was the first one to come out, I got calls from all over the world literally the next day. I've never been in a feature film where so many people have seen it the next day. So it definitely has a completely different kind of visibility.
Given your exposure, with the OTT platform, what would you say? Would you say, progressively from, let's say, compared to 3 years ago to now, would you say there's been progression in terms of scripts, plots, casting, or do you think we are being pressurized by the number game because we want more and more subscribers, and so we're becoming massy and going the television route?
I mean, both are happening. Like in a way, the content has changed. In a way, a lot of different subjects are getting space to be, stories are being told, and so much employment. My God, it's such a good sign. Like everybody's working at the moment. No one's free. So these are all good things, and some really great content's being written. Writers are being recognized. They're getting their dues. But we're also trying to make lots of content. Like it's like literally be feeling lost. The feeling of feeling. I mean, you're lost. There's so much content you don't know what to watch. So I think it's both. But in terms of just pure content, are we as a country making better content? I don't know, because what gets popular these days, we are making films on social issues. So there's always a new thing that people talk about, and it's a good thing. We're talking about these things, it's a good thing. But it's funny sometimes because most of the film is entertaining because it's making jokes about the exact same issue. So you're laughing at the same jokes. And then you go like, oh no, but we shouldn't be laughing, but we laughed for the last 2 hours.
Are you clear about what you want to do and what you don't want to do when you are selecting your scripts?
I mean, this year, I was so busy for the last 3 years. I got really...
we know you're overworked.
Yeah, I was very overworked. So I took a 4-month break. So now I'm back. And I think right now the only category when I'm deciding what to do, I ask myself, when I have to wake up at 5 a.m., will I think to myself that, yeah, I'm going on set? Or will I be like, oh my God, I wish I was not going on set? And then I take the project or not. It's very simple.
Okay. And did you always want to be an actor?
Yeah, I did want to be an actor always, yeah.
Always. And you had no problem getting into the business at all?
No problem at all. It was a smooth ride. No, of course I had lots of problems. I mean, it's difficult. This business is difficult. I had no godfather, I had no family or whatever. I didn't know how it works. There were no casting directors as such at that time. So you come and you figure out some way of keeping at it. And even now, I mean, there are not less hurdles. They're constantly, it's one profession where not everything is based on talent or hard work necessarily. Lots of other things are at play. You have to really, like, it's a business, we forget, but it is a business at the end of the day. So, and also actors' job is extremely dependent. You know, they have barely any control because you choose from what you get, you don't really create. You know, you're told what to do most of the time. So it's a very difficult job, I think.
You know, if we're at the turn of the decade, and as somebody who's in the industry and has observed the industry because you always had aspirations to be an actor, what would you say would be the top 3 things you loved about the decade and the top 3 things that you absolutely hated?
People talk about how women have a lot of work these days and we have women-centric parts, but I remember growing up, at that time also a lot of women had a lot of parts in films. I mean, the industry is quite dominated by men anyway. But I think what has changed, yes, one thing has changed, and lots of women as technicians, behind camera, directors, writers, producers, editors, cinematographers, I mean, just name it. The crew has a lot of women, and that's a very good sign. I think the second good thing is there's a lot of investment from outside. So it's not just within the industries or families. So a lot of people are coming from outside, which means that a lot of different stories are told. So that's another great thing, I think. And I think third thing is the world has really changed. And no, it's come closer. So we get to view content that has been made all over the world, and language has become redundant in a way. And you know, we are just looking at pure work, and so the aspirations have changed. There's a push, there's a encouragement, I think. So I think these are the 3 things.
Yeah, I mean, very, very insightful, you know, points. But what about the 3 things that you couldn't stand?
I think there's no pay parity at all. There still isn't. And we talk about pay parity as in, oh, is this A-lister actress, should she get a few more crores than the A-lister actor? But it's not just that. I mean, if an A-lister actor is getting you that 3 crore, short 3 crore of whatever money, then he should be getting paid more money, I think. I mean, I'm just talking in broad strokes right now because we don't have the time. But I feel, apart from the A-listers, the rest of the cast, the rest of the crew is also made up of men, women, or like you know, different genders basically, and we don't have parity there. And there is no excuse to not have parity there. They don't affect your box office at all. You know, like suppose somebody plays somebody's father and mother, but still the father gets paid more money than the mother, and there's absolutely no logic to that. So, so pay parity for sure, I think. Me Too movement came and went.
Disappointing, right?
It is disappointing. Yeah. And a lot of things that should have changed have not changed.
Absolutely.
So a lot of things have not come out. A lot of things have not changed. So that's really disappointing, I think.
You've been candid enough, and I appreciate your honesty. But on that note, Radhika, we're all big fans of you. The entire audience here was waiting for your session. Thank you so much for taking time out and talking to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.